a specialty.
Now let's talk about some of the maybe lesser known trails in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. What are some of the hidden gems in the mountains that people should be aware of that they might not be aware of?
This book actually has several areas that have never been in any books before. People knew about them, there were some articles, but they were never in a book. And besides DuPont, the other gem is Montreat. Montreat has a very interesting history. It is a Presbyterian conference center, college, and it's a town. And it's a regular town. People can buy a house there if they can afford it. And it's just off Black Mountain. But it also has about 2,500 acres of land that they have set aside as a conservation easement. And they've got wonderful trails there. And one of them is up to Graziano Mountain, where you can get a wonderful view of the parkway, and you can get a wonderful view of Mount Mitchell. And if you read the very small print, it does say that it's private, but basically they invite the public to come in and hike. So that's one of the, I wouldn't say hidden gems, it's one of the places many people don't know. The other one is in Nantahala National Forest. Now you may wonder, hey, this is a national forest, how can it be hidden? But if anybody knows Nantahala, they know the Joyce Kilmer Forest, the big poplars, you know. I think I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree. I have to tell you that Joyce Kilmer, who wrote this, was never in North Carolina. He came from central New Jersey, where I used to live, in the New Brunswick area. But this forest was named after him because of that poem. And besides the poplar tree loop, which is not a secret, it has wonderful trails which are much less used in Pisgah Forest, including the Naked Ground Loop, where you'll see very few people.
Now, if you're just tuning in, again, we are here with Danny Bernstein, who is the author of Hiking the Carolina Mountains, talking about some of the hidden gems in the mountains of North Carolina in terms of hiking, talking about writing the book and the process itself. How about Roan Mountain? Have you hiked up there around Roan Mountain, Tennessee?
Absolutely. Roan Mountain is a wonderful gem. I don't think it's very hidden because it's part of the Appalachian Trail. And in June, you can go up there, and when you go up there, the flaming azaleas and the rhododendrons, it's like you're in a florist shop. And it also has the Gray's lily, which is a very uncommon lily. But if you go up there in June, it's not uncommon at all. It's really only in that general area, so that's why it's considered uncommon.
Now, we were talking a little bit about the North Shore Road and is it the North Shore Trail that's currently there?
Lakeshore Trail.
The Lakeshore Trail.
Yeah.
And there's a picture in here of an old car that is still there. And I remember, it must have been 10 years ago when I was up there hiking, actually seeing that antique car, you know, right off of the trail. So what's the story with the automobile there on the Lakeshore Trail?
Well, remember, people lived there, and unlike the main part of the park, they lived there until 1943. So they had cars. And the Lakeshore Trail, part of it was part of the road that got flooded. And if you hike the Lakeshore Trail, you'll see the road going off into the lake while your trail is continuing the other way. So when people had to move out, what to do with these cars? Well, it was the middle of the war. There was gas rationing, there was tire rationing. These cars weren't working very well to begin with. And some of my older buddies have figured out that these were 1930s cars. And so they were just left there. They didn't have much time to move out, and these were not the most important things to move out. And they will never be removed now because they're historical artifacts.
Now, we've got about 2 minutes left. And I know a lot of our audience you guys are composed of aspiring writers, and so what advice would you give to somebody who is interested in writing articles?
If you're interested in writing articles, two things: perseverance and deliver what you promised on time or earlier. Writing the craft writing is very important, but I think especially with magazines and with publishers in general, they got a product to put out and they need your writing if you've promised it.
Now, how did you contact the different newspapers and magazines where you were able to sell some of your earlier articles?
Email. I bought the magazine, looked at it, and then I emailed them. But you know, the very first contact to me is still snail mail. Hi, my name is. And because it's so unusual, it gets their attention a lot more than an email. And certainly forget about a phone call. You're never going to get these publishers on the phone. You'll be talking to somebody's assistant. So try email or try shocking them with a postal letter.
Well, there you go. I guess the last question I have is related to the North Carolina Writers Network, because I found out about your website through the North Carolina Writers Network. You have about a minute left, so tell us a little bit about how you found out about the North Carolina Writers Network. I know you're actually attending the fall conference as we're shooting this particular interview.
Actually, I found out about it because a couple of years ago, they move the conferences around. A couple of years ago, the conference was in Asheville, and it was like right in front of my face, and I said, how can I possibly not go there? So I did, and I found a group of very supportive writers, both very experienced, big names, and people who were just starting out, and general workshops and seminars, the kind of questions you were asking, how to jump your creativity, lots of inspiration. So I said, hey, I'm sticking with them. And they do more than the yearly conference, especially in this area, in the Raleigh area. They have lots of workshops during the year, so I'm very high on them. And yes, I am going to the conference tonight.
Again, the guest here is Danny Bernstein, and I'd like to thank Danny for being on the show. Danny has a website, hikertohiker.com. If you want to find out more about hiking the Carolina mountains, you could of course visit hikertohiker.com. And if you're interested in the North Carolina Writers Network, they are having their fall conference as we speak here in the studio, and they have a website as well. For all of us here at RTN Channel 10 and the Artist Craft, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's great having you on the show. And it's absolutely